Hello, everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of Treading Warm Water, a proud part of the Bethel Clarion podcast network. I'm joined, as always, by co-host Joe Hiti, noted vegetarian. Joining us also today, Braden Peterson, and making a special appearance as an S on the screen with a 3-second delay through Google Hangouts. It's Sam Johnson. To get into the takes, Joe Hiti, you have the floor.
I am here. Yes.
Case in point. There it is.
My take is that pineapple is the best fruit. If you were to give me any fruit, all the fruit, you could say bananas, strawberries, mango, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, I would say that I would take pineapple over any other fruit. I think pineapple complements a lot of other dishes well. I don't think pineapple is just like a standalone fruit like a lot of other fruits are. I think it's used for flavor profiles, which is a big thing. I know when my family makes Easter ham, which will be this Sunday or last Sunday, depending on whenever you hear this podcast, I know they always cook it with a nice piece of pineapple on it, so it kind of sweetens up the meat and gives it a nice flavor, which I won't be partaking in this year because I am a vegetarian. But I think pineapple's the best. I love it on pizza. I love it not on pizza. You can have it any which way. I think it is the best fruit.
So pineapple is the real glue guy fruit. So if fruit is like the Golden State Warriors, pineapple is Draymond Green. Is that what you're saying here? Just jack of all trades.
Because I don't like Draymond Green, but I think pineapple definitely is the best fruit. I think it really can do anything for you.
Now, I want to key in on what you said, that you don't think pineapple is necessarily a standalone fruit. Could you dive into that a little bit more for me? Because I think that's where I might disagree.
I think other fruits are only standalone fruits. I was saying I don't think pineapple is just a standalone fruit. Because I love pineapple just fresh, straight out of the where SpongeBob was living. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm a big proponent of pineapple as well. I enjoy it on pizza. I enjoy especially putting pineapple in my stir fry. I enjoy making stir fry a lot, and putting pineapple in there is almost unparalleled in terms of deliciousness, especially when it starts to get a little bit soft. But also, I like pineapple just by itself. So I don't know if it's my favorite fruit, but I see that you have a case here. Sam, let's throw it to you now, the giant talking circle.
Yeah, the giant talking circle is full agreeing with Joe here. I am a huge pineapple proponent. It accelerates and it just heightens the taste value of whatever you have. I mean,
I would have to agree.
That's one of my favorite desserts to make. I do that a ton. I have pineapple juice right out of the pint that you get from your local grocery store, the canned goods. It's really just pour it into whatever you're making, and then there's this juice afterwards that has got that tang, that citrus, that just felt like just squeeze right off the tree, and that's the juice you got right in it. And it's my little kind of snack after I make or I eat something with that. So, Joe, you are spot on here. We actually don't disagree one bit, which is the first time that's happened in a long time. So props to you, my man. Good choice.
That is true. Me and Sam usually disagree on just about every argument. We lived in New York, if nobody knew that. Rangers. Braden, what do you think of this take?
I've been thinking about this a little in depth. While I really like pineapple, I'd have to disagree that it's my favorite fruit. I enjoy pineapple. I think it, like you said, it pairs well with a lot of stuff, but I really only eat it with other complements. I think for a standalone, if I'm talking about my favorite fruit overall, I think it would have to be a classic, like a Honeycrisp apple or some kind of a strawberry maybe. I think if I eat too much pineapple, it's almost like too much sugar to me. And it's just like an overload, I feel like, when I eat a ton of it. Granted, any fruit has sugar and is sweet most of the time. But I feel like I eat them more with other products rather than standalone. That's just me.
I think we need to draw a distinction here as we get into this kind of argument of what's your favorite fruit versus what is the best fruit. Do you think that in this argument, the best fruit and the favorite fruit are one and the same, or do we have to draw a distinction there?
I think it's definitely subjective. I think it is one and the same to me, at least, because I think you're always gonna choose what you think is the best based on what's your favorite. But no, yeah, I guess actually no. Now that I think about that, I wouldn't agree, because I wouldn't agree with like my favorite basketball team isn't the best basketball team. But I think in this case, I think my favorite fruit is pineapple, but I also think the best fruit is pineapple. Like something I was talking with our producer Sam Mulberry before the show. Shout out Sam Mulberry. Was that like what other fruit would I take over it? I wouldn't take any other fruit over pineapple. Like if you gave me the option to have pineapple over bananas or pineapple over strawberries, or even grapefruit, like what other fruits, like a clementine, pomegranates, mango. Like I just think pineapple stands the test. The texture of it is the best. It's something that like is new and exciting when you bite into it. I really think that pineapple on its own and pineapple as a complement to other dishes is really what makes it so universal and what makes it the best.
See, I wouldn't say that pineapple is my favorite fruit, but I would have a hard time putting up another contender against it as the best fruit, just because it does apply to so many situations. Like, I can't think of another fruit that I would put in my stir fry off the top of my head. I can't think of another fruit that I will willingly order on my pizza. Obviously, there are plenty of fruits that you would eat in like a standalone manner, like a banana or like Braden's Honeycrisp apple. But as much as I want to stir up some conversation here and try and argue with you on this, Joe, I don't know if I can come up with something that's a bit more universal. Sam and Braden, do you have any other fruits that can be used as widely?
It's got me thinking.
I think honestly, there's pine. That comes to mind. First thing that comes, if we didn't have any talk about pineapple, would have been pineapple. I think second might be apples, because like Honeycrisp apple, like Braden was saying, you can use that in a plethora of different. I mean, you could use it in more savory foods for kind of a good texture or flavor, but also like in pastries and pies, cobblers and everything, especially in the fall. Those go incredibly well with any meal, whether it's a side, just cut up apples on like a tray, or if it's in a pie or a cobbler. I think apples and then flavored with the cinnamon, those kind of spices really kind of set it over the edge. But I still think pineapple is also, it's the best, and I think you can use it in the most kind of a variety of ways.
Do you think, well, now we talk about like fruits, like what are the untraditional fruits that people, claim are fruits, like a tomato? I think people make the argument avocado is a fruit. Like, do you guys consider those, like, is that something that you were like, oh yeah, it's a fruit, or are those just vegetables to you and you don't think anything else of it?
I think my dad always says this thing that great he uses when he talks about fruits. Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing not to put a tomato in a fruit salad. You got to kind of separate putting the tomatoes in that fruit category, which biologically it is, but you would never incorporate the same way you do to the fruits like an apple or an orange. I mean, tomatoes are categorized probably more as vegetables than anything else. They're with more vegetable category foods, but a vegetable, I think a lot of people would be shocked if they were just put to the fire and said, hey, do you think a tomato is more like a fruit or a vegetable? People may not think of it as fruit or being used like a fruit.
I say get that all the way out of here. The idea of like using tomatoes as a fruit or avocados, like tomatoes, good, avocados, good. I'm not going to dispute that. But to classify them with the fruit, come on. To get back to pineapples, though, the one thing that's going through my head right now is I'm trying to come up with an area where pineapples are lacking. And I think when it gets to dessert, that's where the pineapple starts to come up short. Like, what are some pineapple-based desserts other than like a pineapple upside down cake that you guys can give me here?
Well, you just took my one. I went to Hawaii for Christmas in like 2009. We went to a luau, and they just had chilled pineapple like inside half of a pineapple, like it was like its own pineapple serving dish, which is I think extremely useful. The only other fruit that I think could do that is watermelon, which is garbage. Like low of the low fruits. Watermelon is terrible. Don't even make that face right now, Towner. Watermelon is so
I go off.
Awful, Joe.
that it is
That's
just
an
not
awful take.
good. Like people think that watermelon is like, oh, it's so great, but like you can get a bad watermelon and then you have all this watermelon that you have to eat, and it can be like no taste. It can be really taste. It's so inconsistent that I don't like it, and that's why pineapple is better than it. But I think it doesn't really matter in like desserts because pineapple itself to me is a dessert. It's a treat to get to eat, and I love it.
Okay, so now see, I think this is where we've kind of cracked the hot take open. Is we might almost have to save the watermelon discussion for another episode. I don't even. That's a can of worms that I don't think I'm ready to get into right now.
Very good slam dunk.
In terms of eating a fruit by itself, I wouldn't classify that as a dessert. Now, personally, I've never been to Hawaii, and I've never had pineapple served inside of a pineapple husk or whatever you want to call it. So I can't speak towards that side. But I think if you look at the way like berries come on in dessert, like a blackberry pie or a blueberry pie or a strawberry pie, you put those in your ice cream, you put all the berries in there. Suddenly berries are coming on a lot stronger at the very end of the meal in terms of dessert instead of where pineapples are at.
So let's take this around the horn.
You got to value
We'll
the
start
whole
with
meal.
the gentleman. We'll start with the gentleman who's 3 seconds behind. Sam, where do you stand on this take?
Well, my topic. I think pineapple is for me the best fruit, and it's also the fruit that I would most kind of in a variety sense use. So I think that it's the cream of the creme de la creme for me.
Braden, where you at?
I think out of all of us, I think I'm going to have to say I don't think it's the best fruit. I think the stuff we talked about earlier with what it can be mixed with and just, I don't know. I think I'm still on the little hype train of apples. I mean, because they have just the variety and I don't know. I think they're the best. Like I said, they're probably because my favorite, but I'd have to say apples. So I'm going to have to disagree.
Towner?
I think of any fruit, pineapple probably has the widest number of applications, at least that we can think of on this podcast right now. And I think I will agree that just from that, from like a utilitarian perspective, if you will, that would be the best fruit then, just because it can be the most use in the most dishes. But I don't think it's as broad of a gap as you're making it out to be. I think pineapple falls short when you get to that dessert section. It's still in front, but it's not by a whole lot.
Blackberries, raspberries are my least favorite fruit because of how they feel, like the texture of them. Watermelon is garbage. Pineapple is king. SpongeBob lives in it, which Towner wouldn't acknowledge because he never watched SpongeBob growing up. And that's, a default that we've learned in Josh Towner's childhood. But I just like to say that I'm more firmly rooted in my opinion than when we started. I think the gap is exponential. I don't think anybody can say another fruit that I would think, oh, that is rival to pineapple. I think pineapple is the best. And that's on the chart of, pineapple number 1, watermelon 0. So that'll do it for this episode of Treading Warm Water. Thank you everybody for listening. For Sam Johnson, Braden Peterson, and Josh Towner, I'm Joe Hiti. We'll catch you on the next one.